So let's go to Google past and future. So a lot of things have happened and are going to happen at Google. So what's going on there, Don?
Yeah, and I think this is the one thing that everyone always watches. What's Google doing? What's Google
What is Google doing?
Right. Yeah, you know, the thing that everyone hates because they got to pay attention to Google, and yet that's what you got to do. I think, yeah, just starting at the top here, you know, once again, Google's continual push on mobile. Just recently, they've basically, you know, given a boost. If your site before they would get marked as mobile friendly, but now they have specifically altered the algorithms. So if you have a mobile friendly site, you are going to get a boost on the mobile search results. It's not desktop search results, but on mobile search results. So basically, someone searching on their phone, you got a mobile friendly site, you're going to get a boost there. So that obviously becomes even more critical as more and more people are on mobile. Other things they've done recently that you'll see, we've got the dead factors here. Authorship markup, which was a great option for, you know, a couple of years there to get stuff to show up in search results. They basically killed it off. They said, not doing it anymore. I think they found too many people could abuse it, and so they got rid of that. And the one that has been around and really been sort of dead for a while is Google PageRank. You know, they basically sort of killed off Google PageRank as well. You know, you're not going to be looking for it anymore. I know years ago everyone used to always have PageRank in their toolbar so they could hunt down sites to link to and things like this. Give it up. It's gone. It's dead. It's, you know, not going to be around anymore.
Hey, Don?
The other one, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, before you go on, Orban wanted to jump in on one thing real quick. Orban?
Yeah, a big one that is changing Google's algorithm as well is local availability. I know we tend to have our location enabled on our phone, so in searches, local words, whether that's brick and mortar or online, tend to get more favorability in searches as well. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, if you've got a local presence, there's a lot you can do with local now. And I think if you have, especially if you have that local presence, if you've got a store or you've got some place that someone can buy from you locally, there's a lot you can do to help bump that up pretty easily. I'm not going to say too easily, but to help you, you know, in that market and getting those local customers to you. And then the last thing on this slide, on this one, is Google's new page speed testing tool. Honestly, I was like, okay, this is going to be cool. It's going to be some new cool. To me, it doesn't give me anything new. You go in, you get the same thing that you get with the Google Page Speed Insights tool, except the fact that you run the report, you get sent something later, and honestly, to me, it gives me less details than Google Page Speed Insights. But if you haven't tested your site with Page Speed Insights or you want to try this tool out, it's out there. But I think it's, once again, shows that Google's focusing on speed, which is also connected to mobile. Which brings up the first point on the next slide, which is basically in the near future, your mobile page speed is going to start impacting your mobile search results. I've seen this from a number of sources. I don't believe it's out yet, but I would not be surprised to see this very soon. So once again, focus on mobile, focus on speed as two major factors. Obviously, got to look at usability and things like this too, but just so you know it's coming. HTTPS, the continual talk, you know, that Google said in the past, this became one of the ranking factors. It's still debatable as to how much of a ranking factor. I still don't think it's monstrously huge, and I'm not an SEO expert, so don't, you know, give me the disclaimer, sort of like the lawyer, you know, at the bottom. But I think it's something to continue to look at as a possibility, and as Yahoo rolls out same domain checkout, that may be eventually a possibility on Yahoo Abaco as well. And then the last one on here is actually sort of a fun one. It's not really a search ranking yet, but I know there was a question that was sent in about this, about AMP pages. AMP pages, for those that don't know, are basically accelerated mobile pages. They're primarily right now designed for like news and blogs and things like this, for readable content, not really for e-commerce, but it's coming. eBay actually has just recently launched AMP pages. I think it's for their entire site, but I don't want to say it off the top, be positive. And the idea is those pages load fast on mobile. They have very minimal resources. They do have limited functions in that you can't do quite as much as you can do on regular programmed sites, and there's very specific rules in how they're built. But I think it's exciting and interesting to see coming, and it'll be interesting to see how the platforms deal with that if this continues to move forward and continue to grow. That makes sense, Eric? I lose you in any of that stuff? I'm just sort of rambling here,
No, I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you. I will say one thing about you, Don Cole, is you inspire a lot of questions. People just cannot figure you out, and that's a good thing. So we have some questions here from the attendees. Are you ready for them, Don?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, great. So I'll go with this one, and Terry, you have one as well.
Yeah.
The first one here is, aside from Yahoo, which e-commerce platform are you finding to be the most feature robust and reliable? That's a pretty loaded question, obviously, because that's very distinct across different platforms. I'll say one thing before I turn it over to you, Don. One of the things I encourage merchants to do is to write up a technical requirements document that basically just outlines everything that you need the platform to do. And again, don't look at platforms when you're writing that document up. Think about what you need to do to run your business and what you need to do going forward, and then go hunt for a platform that can do that. Now, there are some platforms out there that offer a lot of features out of the box. They're native to those platforms, but if you go beyond that native feature set, you can run into some problems, meaning that it can either be very expensive to create a feature for those platforms, or it can be difficult to maintain depending on the kind of staff that you have. I mean, you might have to do some HTML reworking or things like that, whereas there's some other open source platforms out there that offer a lot, but they're very robust, may not be the best fit for each merchant. So, Don, what's your take on what I just said and the question that started this?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously it's a loaded question, but honestly, if I was looking at platforms, and I'm looking, beyond Yahoo, Abaco, which obviously I believe most of the merchants on the call are, about this. I look at Magento, I look at Shopify, I look at BigCommerce. We mentioned them all. Magento is, I would say by far the most flexible, but it is, resource intensive, and you got to have, programming support, because not everything is easy to do. It's sort of on the scale. You have flexibility versus, simplicity, and Magento falls on the I can do anything, but not everything is easy. In fact, a large part is not easy. But they do have some plugins and things like this that you can do that can help with some of that. For a strictly hosted platform, my gut reaction right now is Shopify. BigCommerce has got a lot of capabilities, but I like some of the flexibility that the liquid language gives for development. But you also know when you go to Shopify, when you're looking at costs, you have to take into account everything. You're going to be buying generally a number of add-ons from their Shopify store, and so you're going to be getting some services and things like this. They're going to be plugging in some capabilities that are not in the platform. There are some things that it has some struggles with, just like every platform. So that's my gut reaction, is really, it depends on your need. And I think what you said, Eric, is really key, is making a list of what you need, and not just looking at, oh, what do I need that I don't have on my current platform? Make sure to write down the things that you use on your current platform.
That's right. That's right.
They look and they move and they go, well, I do this on Yahoo and I just moved to BigCommerce, or I just moved to Shopify. How do I do this? And then you find out, well, you can't, or it's harder, or it's going to require, there's always something. There are very few things that are impossible to do, but it's how much work is involved, how much cost is involved, and, how gimmicked this has to be. And there are some things that, fit well on one side and don't fit well on the other. So you have to plan not only what you need that you don't have, but look at the things you are currently using and how do those work on this new platform you're looking at.
Right, and I think it's also worth noting that when you're looking to make a possible transition, talk to folks that have actually worked on these platforms. In other words, don't just buy into the marketing hype regarding all these platforms. Listen, there's a lot of great marketing surrounding all these other platforms, and they're going to tell you, oh yeah, you can do whatever on this platform. It's awesome. They're going to tell you everything that's just amazing about it, and they're not going to mention the dirty side of it. Go ahead, Don. Sorry.
I just wanted to inject. Actually, I just literally had a merchant yesterday that called us, and they recently bought out a store, and they haven't done much with it. They're starting to do stuff with it, and their SEO firm told them, you have to switch to this platform, because if you don't, you're basically going to go broke, and Google's going to kick you out by next year if you don't do this. And it comes down to get people that are knowledgeable on the platform, that have worked on the platforms, have experience that you trust to give you that input. Because there are people that put stuff out there, see in multiple threads on forums and things like this, that, oh, my developer said, and it's like, no, your developer just doesn't know how to handle it or how to do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And that's the key thing. And you said there's got a lot of questions that come up, and even during this webinar. And I wanted to mention that obviously they can contact UI Studios if they don't get their questions answered, or email me. I'm glad to throw out info. People that know me know I'm not a salesperson. I'm going to answer you the best I can. So.
Yep, absolutely. We're both resources for you guys while we're doing the webinar. But Terry, you had a question come in about HTTPS.
Yeah, we actually have a couple. Mike was just mentioned that he's heard debate on making the whole site secure, just the checkout, and which you obviously mentioned. And then Justin specifically is curious what the impact you think Google's requirements will have on just stores in general.
Yeah, HTTPS is definitely interesting. I know merchants that have switched to HTTPS, and they have seen, on the short term, I've seen cases where they've actually taken a hit on their SEO. I think long term it comes back, and I think it depends obviously on your current traffic, your current volume, activity, and things like this. But HTTPS, at least by what I've seen, and I'm not an SEO guy, is a factor. There are hundreds of factors that Google uses, so you have to look at that and go, okay, well, if it's a factor and they've got 150 factors, how big of a factor is it? And I don't think it's monstrous yet. I don't think long term it might not have more value. But to me, it's not going to be the major decision-making in anything I'm going to do. But would it be nice to do? Yeah, if you could do it, it certainly couldn't hurt to do it. But just know there could also be a potential hit on SEO, and just by what I've seen from some merchants discussing it.